Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash, big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The series Selenkay begins with Sophia, which is because of her father's job as a forest ranger. Sophia and her family are always moving to paradise-like places, but they're totally isolated. This time, the couple and their kids find out they'll be living on a small island surrounded by a lake for a few years. And for Sophia, the nightmare continues. Even though she loves her family, the 16-year-old girl feels the need to have a normal life, make friends, and experience things like any regular teenager. Seeing the beautiful lake all around, Sophia feels at least a little happy because she loves living near water. While her family gets on a boat to reach the island where their new house is, she decides to go out exploring, needing some time alone. But during her walk in the forest, she realizes her siblings are following her and tries to lose them so she can head toward the nearby village. On the way, Sophia climbs a rock to get a better look at the lake and ends up falling into the water. After hitting her head on one of the rocks, she passes out and wakes up seconds later, feeling a mysterious force from the bottom of the lake pushing her body back to the surface. When she gets home, she tells her parents what happened and gets a lecture for putting her life at risk. So, she promises to be more careful next time she's alone. Knowing their daughter won't give up on checking out the village nearby, Pedro and Iris decide to go with her and turn it into a family outing. On the way back home, Iris smells smoke, and Pedro goes out looking for whoever lit the fire. When he finds the group of teenagers, he introduces himself as a forest ranger and says camping there is forbidden. While her dad tries to convince Rafael and Miguel to leave, Sophia meets Gale and gets curious about him because he has a mysterious vibe. The next day, on her first day of school, Sophia is placed in Gale's class. He recently moved to town with his siblings. Within the first few minutes, Sophia makes friends with Diana, and her siblings are surprised at how easily she socializes. After class, while walking around the village with her new friend, Sophia sees a thunderstorm rolling in, and they decide to check out the spot where lightning struck the day before. At that moment, they see Rafael approaching in his car and hide so he won't see them entering the metal workshop. As Sophia walks through the abandoned building, she's fascinated by a huge twisted tree growing right in the middle of the workshop. According to Diana, the tree acted as a lightning rod. But the weird thing is that even after being struck, it didn't burn or split in half. However, when Sophia gets closer to check out the crack in the trunk, she's almost hit by flames. Suddenly, fire starts spreading through the workshop and the girls try to escape, but Sophia ends up trapped inside and Diana runs for help. Surrounded by flames, Sophia manages to move the water inside a barrel and, without realizing it, puts out the fire. That night, during a storm, Rafael schedules a meeting with the mayor of Rio Vivo at the workshop, where he's building a new bar, and gets welcomed as the village's newest resident. When Eduardo Frank leaves, Rafael tells his siblings they're closer than ever to completing their plan, and Gale reveals he wants to get closer to Sophia because he saw something different in her. The next day at school, Sophia notices Diana still hasn't gotten over what happened at the workshop and keeps wondering how Sophia was able to move a barrel of water. In her research, Diana found a bunch of articles about women who did heroic things in desperate moments and convinces herself the same thing happened with her friend. Even though Sophia knows it wasn't physical strength that moved all that water, she decides to keep what really happened a secret since she can't explain the phenomenon herself. During PE class, Amelia comes over to invite Sophia to her house and says she'll help her make new friends. But Sophia senses there's something else behind the invitation and politely turns it down. Still, Amelia insists on having the new girl over, so Sophia decides to give her classmate a chance, as long as Diana can come too. At that moment, the girls say Gale will be invited as well, and Sophia starts feeling weird. As she tries to control her emotions, the water in the well starts to move, and when Amelia comes closer to see what's going on, she ends up getting soaked. Later, Sophia brings Diana to meet her parents, and she's invited to join them at the table. While they eat, Iris and Pedro start grilling Diana with questions, making Sophia uncomfortable. Trying to stop the interrogation, Sophia takes her friend to her room. During their chat, Diana realizes Sophia is falling for Gale. Reading an encyclopedia about water properties, Sophia starts to wonder why she got the ability to control it. While Lupa walks Diana home, Sophia decides to test her powers and she faints after trying to move the water inside a glass. However, at nightfall, the girl sees a drop of water floating right in front of her and is able to confirm her suspicions. Trying to seem like a normal teenager and not risk losing her only friend, Sophia decides to keep her abilities a secret and feels relieved when she hears Diana say that what happened at the well was due to the movement of the tectonic plates. According to Diana, this happens all the time in that village, so Sophia will have to get used to it. That day, during science class, Flo, Sophia's younger sister, gets scolded by her teacher for wearing cloth gloves during the experiment. With no other choice, she takes off her gloves and suddenly her classmate starts to feel sick. At the end of class, Miguel approaches to investigate, but Phlox doesn't allow any conversation and manages to keep him away. In canoeing class, Sophia approaches Taco and walks with him along the dock toward their boat. Along the way, he drops his hearing aid into the water, and Sophia immediately jumps into the lake to try to retrieve it. Worried about her, Taco decides to dive in after, but ends up being rescued by Sophia, who comes up to the surface with both her classmate and the hearing aid. Seeing Sophia getting close to another guy, Gale starts to feel jealous, since he's also developing feelings for the new girl. Trying to win Sophia's trust, Gale approaches her for a chat and finds out she used to live in Antarctica with her family before moving to Rio Vivo. When he finds his sister talking with Gale by the lake, Lupo gets deeply uncomfortable and tells him to leave. For some reason, both Sophia's parents and siblings are extremely protective of her, as if they're trying to keep her away from some danger. During dinner, Sophia questions why her family is trying to stop her from making friends, and the conversation quickly turns into an argument. The next day, Lupo decides to look for a job in the village and finds out Raphael is hiring staff for his bar, which is about to open. During the interview, Raphael uses his powers to raise the temperature in the room and starts asking questions about Lupo's family. Dazed by the sudden heat, Lupo starts revealing things he normally wouldn't, but is interrupted by Lucio, who arrives to announce a delivery for the bar. As soon as the temperature drops, Lupo regains his senses and Raphael decides to hire him as a waiter. Later that afternoon, he meets up with his two siblings in the forest to perform a ritual, and the trio combine their powers to reach out to the god of fire. Meanwhile, Diana asks Sophia for help figuring out what happened at the metal workshop and builds a model to recreate the fire outbreak. When she sees the flames spreading, Sophia remembers how she felt when she was trapped in the fire and ends up using her powers to knock the juice cups onto the model. Seeing this, Diana realizes her friend has superpowers, but Sophia tries to convince her it was just the wind that knocked over the cups. When she sees her friend won't believe that excuse, Sophia decides to leave, not wanting to take part in Diana's experiments. A few hours before the bar's opening party, Raphael shares his plan with his brothers to find the girl they're looking for. He intends to use his powers on all the guests, since Aurora is the only person immune to his abilities. If they spot someone unaffected by Raphael's powers, they'll know that's the person they're after and can complete their mission. When Pedro and Iris find out Sophia plans to go to the opening, they forbid her from leaving the house that night because it's too risky. Hearing this, Sophia is devastated, since she's always dreamed of going to a party. So she contacts Diana and arranges to meet her at Raphael's bar. As the sun is about to set, Sophia sneaks out and runs into Phlox on the way. Luckily, her younger sister is also sneaking out, so they decide to go to the party together. When they get to the bar, the two sisters split up and Sophia finds out Lupo was hired as a waiter. During the event, she spots Paco across the room and goes over to talk to him. She learns it's his first time at a party too and says she's happy to see him. Excited by Sophia's presence, Paco invites her to dance, but she gets so nervous she accidentally knocks over a bottle of booze. Suddenly, Lupo shows up to clean the table and Sophia realizes her brother is watching her. Seeing that she made the water bubble inside the bottle, Sophia steps away to calm down and goes to talk to Diana, hoping to make up. Ever since Diana discovered Sophia's powers, their friendship has been strained, but neither wants to talk about it. When Gale notices Sophia feels out of place, he invites her for a chat off the dance floor, and during their conversation, the two start to dance. But when Sophia leans in to kiss him, he pulls away, and she feels rejected. At the end of the show, Raphael and his brothers go up on stage to thank everyone who showed up to the event, and Sophia gets picked to sing a song. On her way to the stage, she asks Emilia to join her, and both grab their microphones to start the performance. When she spots Taco in the crowd, Sophia pulls him up on stage, and Raphael uses the distraction to unleash his powers on the crowd. However, his plan gets interrupted when the fire sensors go off, and all the water bottles start shooting out powerful jets. Hit by the water, Gale gets injured and runs off to hide somewhere no one can find him. But when Phlox sees him trying to escape, she chases after him and discovers Gale has superpowers. Scared, she tries to run, but Raphael shows up just in time and manages to corner her. After using his powers to make her forget what she saw, he wraps up the party, and when all the guests leave, he sets up a new plan of action with his brothers. On the way home, Sophia says she has something to tell her siblings and reveals her ability to control water. Hearing this, Phlox says they need to tell their parents, since they're the only ones who can help Sophia deal with her gift. But Sophia asks her siblings to keep it secret and says she'll tell their parents about her powers the next day. When they get home, Sophia and Phlox get scolded and find out they're grounded for 2 weeks for sneaking out. The next day at school, Sophia tries again to make up with Diana and asks her friend to help figure out where her powers come from. After looking at all the moments when Sophia's powers appeared, Diana realizes her friend was emotional and says that intense feelings can trigger her abilities without her meaning to. Hearing this, Sophia starts worrying about possibly flooding the village and leaves so people around won't notice her panic. Not knowing what to do, Sophia decides to ask Taco's aunt, who's a seer, for help, and Taco offers to take her to his aunt's house. After class, Flo tells her brother what happened at the party and says she vaguely remembers being questioned by Raphael. At that moment, Lupo realizes he wasn't imagining what happened during the interview and figures out that he and his younger sister both had their memories wiped. When Sophia meets Vera, she gets a familiar feeling like she's always known her. While looking at photos on a shelf in Vera's house, one catches her eye. A glowing shadow of a woman stands next to Patrick, Vera's old friend. When asked why she's visiting, Sophia decides to show off her abilities, and Vera is impressed by the girl's gift. When Phlox gets home, she immediately tells her parents about her sister's powers. Lupo tries to convince them to finally tell Sophia the truth they've been hiding for so long. That afternoon, after rushing out of the bar, Sophia forgets her book, which Gale finds. When he reads it, he realizes Sophia is the girl Raphael has been searching for all these years and destroys the book so his brothers won't find out the truth. When Pedro and Iris discover Sophia has awakened her powers, they decide to tell their kids the truth and reveal they were in Rio Vivo 15 years ago. That's when the couple got the mission to take care of Sophia, and they decided to return to the village to find out why she needed protection. They say they didn't know about Sophia's powers, but suspect Raphael and his brothers might be after her. When they arrived on the island, Iris and Pedro tried to contact Vera, since she was the one who gave them Sophia, but couldn't find her. What they don't realize is that their daughter is talking to this woman at that very moment, and Vera promises to help Sophia learn to control her powers. Back home, Sophia finds her family gathered for dinner and discovers Phlox spilled her secret, but she's surprised when her parents actually believe she has a special gift. When Iris finds out her daughter met Vera, she encourages Sophia to seek help from her, and Sophia asks for permission to spend a few days at Vera's house. To Sophia's surprise, her mom lets her stay with Vera and is interested in meeting her. When they finally meet Vera, the couple asks what threat they need to protect Sophia from, and Vera says they never should have returned to Rio Vivo. Now that Sophia is back in her hometown, she's in more danger than ever and needs to learn to use her powers to face the challenges ahead. After saying goodbye to their daughter, Pedro and Iris leave, and Vera starts teaching Sophia how to control her emotions, since they're directly linked to her powers. In just a few days of training, Sophia shows huge progress. She now knows how to control water on purpose. After an intense week of learning, Sophia goes to meet Lupo in the forest, but he gets ambushed by Raphael and Miguel, who plan to use their powers to capture him. While waiting for her brother, Sophia gets a message from Gale and decides to meet him, realizing he has something important to tell her. When she gets back to the bar, she finds her brother with Sophia and tells her the truth about her family. Trying to get the girl to confess that she's actually Aurora, Raphael decides to use his powers, but Sophia manages to neutralize him. After searching the whole forest for their daughter, Pedro and Iris return home and discover that Lupo was attacked. At that moment, Sophia shows up and is worried when she sees her brother covered in burns, but her parents try to convince her that he had an accident. When Navera finds out Sophia is in danger, she decides to act and asks Taco to protect Sophia if she doesn't return by sunset. The truth is that the girl is the daughter of Aurora and Patrick and was sent to an adoptive family so she could have a normal life, far from any danger. When she arrives in the village, Navera heads to the bar run by the three brothers and is served by Miguel. While talking to him, she takes the opportunity to touch his hand and discovers he has fire powers. Navera immediately goes to Pedro and Iris and orders them to leave Rio Vivo as soon as possible, because Raphael and his brothers are very dangerous. They work as emissaries for Sophia's uncle. When she gets home, Sophia finds out her family is moving again, and even though she's reluctant, she goes up to her room to pack her things. Before leaving, she calls Diana to tell her what happened, and when she finds out Lupo is hurt, she decides to go see him. During their goodbye, the two kiss, but are interrupted by Sophia, who came to ask her friend for help. After swapping clothes with Diana, Sophia sneaks out of the house without her parents noticing and goes to find Gale to learn the truth, since she feels she can't trust her parents anymore. Trying to show Sophia the truth, the three brothers use their powers to form a fire triangle, trapping her inside. Scared, Sophia tries to use her powers to stop them, but realizes her abilities are weakened. Luckily, Navera shows up and manages to interrupt the ritual. At that moment, Raphael tries to capture Sophia, but she uses her powers to push him away. Then, she escapes with Navera, and they hide in a cave. Seeing that Sophia is distressed about not knowing the truth about her family, Navera decides to tell her everything and explains that she was a close friend of Aurora. According to her, Sophia's biological mother passed away a few years ago, and Patrick never knew his daughter existed because Aurora did everything she could to keep him away. The truth is, Aurora didn't want to put Patrick in danger, so she wouldn't let him get close to Sophia. Since he was a human without special abilities, he'd never be able to protect her from the dangers ahead. Navarra says Sophia's family was created by Aurora specifically to take care of her. After giving birth, Aurora used her powers to embody the best of nature and gave them human form. Paco's aunt explains that fire and water are two opposing forces that keep nature in balance. Aurora was the goddess who controlled the energy of water and passed this ability on to Sophia, who is the daughter of a goddess and a human. Desperate to find Sophia, Raphael decides to interrogate Lucio and finds out he's planning to expose their powers to the whole town. Furious, Raphael attacks the old man and causes severe burns. Gael then argues with his brother and calls an ambulance so Lucio can get medical care. However, before the paramedics arrive, the old man doesn't survive, and with his last words, he advises Gael to leave his brothers because he's not like them. After discovering her true origin, Sophia decides to follow her own path, and as she's leaving the village, she runs into Gael. Together, the two go to a neighboring town and, at nightfall, break into an abandoned warehouse to rest. Regretting having pulled away on the night of the party, Gael tries to recreate that moment. And this time, Sophia gets her first kiss. The next morning, Navarra helps Iris expand her sense of smell so she can track Sophia. But before she can reach her, Miguel shows up and captures Iris. When Diana brings food for her friend, she also ends up tied up. And Raphael says Gael has disappeared. Without him, they can't complete the ritual to summon the god of fire. Thanks to that, Iris gets more time to find her daughter. When she reaches a certain spot in the forest, she loses Sophia's trail, and the family splits up to search for her. During the search, Pedro runs into Raphael, who uses his fire powers to hurt him. But since Pedro has superhuman strength, he manages to defeat Raphael and then faints. Worried about his brother taking too long, Miguel goes after him and is attacked by Phlox, but manages to defeat her by blowing embers. As she approaches, Miguel throws a burning log at her, but ends up getting scratched on the leg by Phlox, who uses her claws. After helping her mother up, Sophia continues the mission and Lupo finds Raphael, who knocks him down with his flames. But when he sees Miguel is hurt, the madman helps him back to the hideout, where Sophia is tied up. While trying to free herself, Sophia falls to the ground and is surprised by Gael's arrival, who shows up to save her. Worried about her friend's safety, Sophia orders her to. The guy takes Diana to a safe place and runs into the forest to help his family, who are fighting Gael's brothers. While the girl protects them with a shield made of water, Pedro tries to get closer to their enemies, but ends up getting burned once again. Immediately, Sophia runs over to try to help her father get up, but realizes he's unconscious. At that moment, the girl's rage awakens and her powers intensify. Suddenly, droplets of water start to spring up from the ground and the plants around them. When Raphael and Miguel realize they're in danger, they try to land the final blow, but Sophia sends all that water toward them and their bodies end up disintegrating. Right after, Pedro regains consciousness, and Gael decides to go his own way now that his brothers are gone. The following week, after nearly losing her family, Sophia feels extremely grateful to have them close, but is saddened when she receives a farewell letter from Gael. 6 months later, still living in Rio Vivo, Sophia tries to get over losing her first love while enjoying the normal life she's always dreamed of. One day, when everything seems normal, the girl senses Gael's presence and decides to follow him through the forest, but soon realizes she's been tricked and is taken straight to Kieran, her uncle, also known as the God of Fire. So, this is the end of the series. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next video. Goodbye.